Ukrainian army destroyed Oreshnik long-range missile inside Russia during the summer of 2024, President Voldymyr Zelenskiy said at a press briefing on Friday. Ukraine's Security Service, SBU, and the Defence Intelligence Directorate, HUR, were involved in the operation to destroy the missile at the Kapustin Yar missile range in Russia's Astrakhan region that is used as a site for testing Moscow's strategic weapons. We believe that the Russians still have the capability to use up to 6 more launches. Russians want to deploy the Oreshnik in Belarus, and we know its estimated range is 5,000 kilometers. That means Europeans need to pay attention to these risks, Zelensky said. SBU chief Vasyl Maliuk later specified that the destruction of the Russian Oreshnik system was complete. It happened back when even the name of the complex was not yet known. We continue working on this and will share the results afterward, Maliuk said. The SBU chief revealed that the mission to destroy Oreshnik was not publicized, and its results were known only to the presidents of several countries besides Zelensky. At that time, Russians were not yet posing a major threat with it. If I'm not mistaken, it was the summer before last, he said. Maliuk added that since the beginning of 2025, Ukrainian troops have also destroyed 48% of Russia's Pantsir systems that are the most effective against Ukraine drones. In his words, Russians produce around 30 units of Pantsirs per year, but the number of destroyed Pantsirs already exceeds that figure. Speaking about Ukraine's missile and drone attacks on energy infrastructure in Russia, Maliuk said since the beginning of the year, the SBU has carried out more than 160 successful strikes on Russian oil extraction facilities. Maliuk stressed that the SBU targets only legitimate military objectives, which today make up 90% of the Russian Defense Ministry's budget that is used to fund the war against Ukraine. 6 refineries, 2 oil terminals, 3 oil depots, and 9 oil pumping stations have been destroyed in September and October, the SBU chief said, adding that these strikes have caused up to a 20% deficit in Russian petroleum products and led to a ban on gasoline exports until the end of this year. Commenting on the situation in embattled Pokrovsk in eastern Donetsk region was also discussed today. Zelensky said the situation was difficult, but there have been no significant changes. Our defenders are gradually destroying the occupiers, but above all, we must preserve our personnel, Zelensky said, adding that Russia has concentrated 170,000 troops in the area of the front line. There are Russians in Pokrovsk. Our forces are gradually eliminating them. We must preserve our personnel, as the occupiers are hiding in various buildings, the president said. Zelensky explained that Russians have been ordered to capture Pokrovsk because they failed to take Sumy and Kupiansk. Putin wants to come to Pokrovsk? Please, let him. Everyone will applaud because we know how that would end, Zelensky went on saying. In turn, SBU chief Maliuk said Russia has lost tens of thousands of troops in Pokrovsk that Moscow had pledged to capture in just a few days. Furthermore, Maliuk rejected reports that there is no encirclement of Ukrainian troops in Pokrovsk, adding that the situation was under control despite intense fighting.
Russian Army Commander-in-Chief Valery Gerasimov has come under serious pressure from the Kremlin. According to agents of the Atesh movement, including officers from one of the Russian troop groups, Vladimir Putin gave the general a harsh ultimatum: capture Pokrovsk by mid-November. This deadline effectively became Gerasimov's last chance to retain his position. According to sources, the Kremlin is extremely dissatisfied with his performance, constant setbacks on the front, and distortions of information about the real situation. Gerasimov allegedly repeatedly provided Putin with false reports, including about the capture and encirclement of Ukrainian units, which in fact continue to hold their positions. Even some Russian propagandists are now forced to admit that the general's reports do not correspond to reality. Amid pressure from the Kremlin, Russian troops have intensified their assaults in the Pokrovsk area. Ukrainian military officials are reporting massive attacks, resulting in massive losses for the occupiers as Russian command throws dozens of units into battle without sufficient armored vehicle and artillery support. Such tactics, according to experts, indicate not offensive success, but panic and Gerasimov's attempt to demonstrate results at any cost before the appointed deadline. According to the Atesh movement, Putin's inner circle is already discussing candidates to replace Gerasimov. The most likely successor is Colonel General Viktor Poznikier, who has a reputation as a more manageable officer and one who is loyal to the Kremlin. Recall military experts and Russian pro-war bloggers have dismissed what they say are inaccurate claims by Russia's top general that Kiev's forces were encircled near the embattled cities of Pokrovsk and Kupiansk, which Moscow has been trying to capture for months. Chief of the General Staff, Valery Gerasimov, told President Vladimir Putin that up to 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers were encircled near Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region and Pokrovsk, one of Kiev's last major strongholds in the Donetsk region. This does not correspond to reality at all. Military expert Ivan Stupak, a former officer of Ukraine's SBU security service, told the Moscow Times of Gerasimov's assertion. Even some Russian military correspondents questioned Gerasimov's statement, even though they often go along with Russian propaganda in certain cases. Stupak noted, the Gerasimov doctrine redefines the modern concept of war by placing it on the same level as political, economic, informational, humanitarian, and other non-military activities. This became known in February 2013 and Russia's subsequent actions in relation to Ukraine. According to the researchers, the main elements of the Gerasimov doctrine underlie the concept of the new generation war. However, there are opinions that the hybrid war is alien to the Russian military theory. Earlier independent military analyst Alexander Alesin suggested that Russian President Vladimir Putin would gradually replace parquet generals with frontline military leaders who have combat experience. According to the analyst, there is a split in the military elite in the Russian Federation.